going on, TAP? That's right, this your boy Blazy chilling. I got my boy Rev with me. What's going on, Rev? I'm digging that headset. Man, we make it happen regardless. So what's going on, my boy? How you doing, man? How you enjoying the weather?
The weather's been good. The weather's been hot, but the one thing that we're concerning about is how hot it's getting in Minnesota right now. That's what,
dude. 104. What was it? 107 today. I almost couldn't handle it, brother.
Today?
Yeah, it was like 106, but then when I got on the freeway, it said 107.
Yeah. Well, here's something that the biggest buzz. I think we could what's comparable to what's going on right now, and there's no way getting around it. This is probably the biggest news that's hit as of late, and that's the whole George Floyd incident in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and there's no way of getting around this. This is comparable to the whole Rodney King incident, and it's kind of funny that I really haven't heard that comparison.
Yeah.
A lot of people are bringing up the whole, the incident in Ferguson, the incident in New York with, the names escape me, but it's just in my mind, I think maybe because we're old enough to remember the whole Rodney King incident, but in your mind, what have you? I mean, there's so much to unpack in this whole situation, and it's kind of like I don't know where to begin. Almost,
yeah.
It's number one, if you haven't seen the footage, it is heartbreaking and terrible to watch, regardless of the situation. Removing the fact that the cops are there for some kind of criminal complaint, regardless of the fact that they had him detained and arrested, or whatever the case may be. Just looking at it from a pure humanistic, from just the humanity of it. Something went wrong here, and somebody needs to be accountable. And my wheels started spinning, because the first thing you don't want to go to, because a lot of people want to go to is police brutality and racism. And I didn't automatically want to go there just yet. I kind of wanted to wait to get a little bit more information. But when I finally sat and I watched that video probably twice, from the beginning to the end, that was posted on social media, of when they had Mr. Floyd on the ground and the officer had his knee in his back of his neck. And from that point on, and you watch it all the way through till they get him in the ambulance, which I think is about 8 minutes. It's a hard video to watch. That's a life. You're literally watching a life ending in that moment.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of. There's a few people that I follow. There's a couple of YouTubers that I follow that are actually cops or former cops. One of them is the Officer 401. He has a YouTube page, and I happened to catch his. Another one's a Donut Operator, but I haven't seen
Donut Operator.
You can check his really good videos. He does. Both those guys do very fair analysis of these situations. But I listened to 401, and I'm going to pull him up first, but I wanted to kind of find the video for you of the incident. Have you watched the incident yet?
I watched the shorter version, not the 10-minute video one. I guess you could say I caught the highlights or whatever, lack for a better word. But it is disturbing, man. It's messed up. But I seen a meme on Facebook where it says police brutality is not increasing, it's just being videotaped or something like that. I forgot who said it, but honestly, I think these cops need to be charged with murder. Because if it was the other way around, bro, they would throw the book at us. You know what I mean? And these cops, it pisses me off. They forget their place in society. For some reason, they think they're above everybody when actually they're servants. And one time I got pulled over and I kind of, in a nice way, talked the cop down and kind of made him kind of like, wait, I feel stupid now. That's what he was thinking. You can tell. You can see it in his face, because I was like, dude, I know your job's hard. You're in public service. It's hard to be a public servant. And he's looking at me like, why do you keep saying that? And then it clicked in his head like, oh, shit, that's right. I am in public service, And I'm like, yeah, bro, kind of like you could see the wheels in his head kind of just like, oh, shit. And he kind of, after that, his attitude changed. He kind of was more chill. But I was like, see, you know, don't forget, bro. You know, like, you think just because you have a badge and a gun, you're elected by the people, you know, so calm down, man, you know. But go ahead and play it. Go ahead and play it.
So right here, we got some of the, this is the footage from Officer 401. And let me get
everything. Water from please.
Did they put a soundtrack to that, or what? What's going on?
Sorry about that. What's going on? I hope
so this is Officer 401, and he did a really good
Today I have a video that is from Minneapolis of an officer putting his knee onto a suspect. Not just anywhere, but this guy's neck. And a lot of you have requested this video. My inbox has been flooded with requests for this, and I thought this would be a really good topic to cover. The incident actually happened last night at 8 o'clock, again, in Minneapolis. And now, take a look at how bad this video actually is.
Bro, with your feet on his neck, man, you get off the
His nose is bleeding. Like, come on now.
That's wrong right there with his feet on his neck.
Look at his nose.
You see your knee on his neck. Yeah, you got your feet right on his neck. Yeah, even resisting the rest.
I cannot breathe.
You just a grown, you're a tough guy. You're a tough guy, huh? You're a tough guy. You're not even resisting the rest, bro.
His whole nose is bleeding.
Follow him. Bro, but why you just sit there? He ain't doing nothing now. Put him in the car.
How long y'all gotta hold him down?
Why you don't do drugs, kids? It ain't about drugs, bro. Y'all understand
Nah, y'all don't gotta put y'all right.
He is human, bro. He a fucking bum, bro. He enjoying that shit right now, bro. You could have fucking put him in the car by now, bro. He's not resisting arrest or nothing. You enjoying it. Look at you. Your body language explains it, you fucking bum.
This is hard to watch, and it just goes on. I think right now he's on the ground.
I don't know. I don't think I could have just stood there and watched something, man.
You know that's bogus right now, bro. You know it's bogus. You can't even look at me like a man because you a bum, bro. He's not even resisting arrest right now, bro.
His nose is bleeding.
You see
right there where he's like, you can look at his face and you can see him gasping.
Cool, right? What's your
and he stops talking. But the thing that
cool right now, bro.
I had seen officers do this in the past where they're kind of detaining a person, they get them on the ground, and they kind of they put their body weight on them. But the thing is that I just couldn't bring myself to understand is look how
but you know they're trained they're trained to do that, but right away they either put them on their side or they stand them up. You always see that, you know. And they're also trained to know that if they're on somebody like that, even if they're not on his neck, but they just put their body weight on their back, you can easily kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? So they're trained to know that. Security guards are trained to know this. So it's like there's no excuse for this, man. Did he pee himself right here? Like, I don't hate to be, you know. Yeah, I was like, is that dang. That is crazy, man. Dang. Yeah, I don't know, but did you see is that urine? Like, he probably already passed away by then, or at least at the very least passed out, you know?
I mean, there's no movement. And that's what the bystanders kept on saying.
But you know, when someone either gets knocked out or they pass away, they usually, their bowels empty and all that. You see all that urine that was running down behind the cop car? I think you might have missed it, but, dude, that's just too much, man.
The man ain't moved yet, bro. The man ain't moved yet, bro. Bro, you're a bum, bro. You're a bum, bro. You're definitely a bum, bro.
Tell me what his pulse is right now.
Check the pulse. Bro, he has not moved, not one time.
Okay, so
he's off track.
There's another video that I want to play, another response video.
You don't understand.
And what's funny is, I don't want to say that it's funny, but what's interesting to see that right now,
I see that.
Bro,
there's just this situation is stirring the pot in a major way.
Here, well, pause the video so we can hear you speaking a little better, because it's like kind of loud.
He was just moving when I walked up here.
And I know, and then that he
So it goes on for a little bit longer, but here I just want to get to the very end to his response to this YouTuber's response.
We were taught in the academy is that you
987, you just killed that nigga, bro. You just
Y'all
killed
just
him,
really
bro.
Oh, is he echoing what I was just saying right now?
One of the first things that you were taught in the academy is that you are responsible for anybody in your custody, whether it be a witness, victim, or suspect. And this is clearly a case of positional asphyxiation. The victim in this video has been identified as George Floyd, and the person filming has been identified as Darnella Frazier. I don't know what he did to warrant the officer putting his entire body weight on him, but I'm just over 200 pounds, and I'm not about to put all of my body weight through my knee onto somebody's neck, especially knowing how fragile your neck is. I can understand putting your body weight or your knee in somebody's back while you're trying to get.
So the point is the procedure was completely wrong. These individuals forcibly put their knee on the back of somebody's head. Now, the thing that we haven't got yet, now there has been a lot of other footage that has surfaced so far in this case of because the initial response is, and I kind of don't trust the police response in this, because first they said that he was resisting arrest. Now the thing is, why was he under arrest? What crime did they find him?
Yeah, I heard different things. I heard that he was trying to cash a stolen check. That's one thing I heard, but who knows? It's all speculation.
Well, I heard that it was fraud was being attempted, or not. What was it? Either he was writing a bad check. Not that it was a stolen check, but it was a bad check, or that he was committing fraud, or he was trying to what is it when for a forgery? That he was committing forgery.
Oh, I see.
So, and in the midst of that, so initially the cops said, well, we had to do that to him because he was resisting arrest. There has been no footage that could prove that. The only thing that could really prove that at this point would be the police body cam, which they haven't released yet. But so far from that footage that we just watched of the cell phone and then some security cameras that were caught some of the incident, there was no resisting arrest. They got him out of the car. They put him in handcuffs. They were walking around. He was on one side of the street, and where he ended up on the floor was across the intersection on the other side at another police car. So it happened away from his vehicle. So they had already got him out of his vehicle and were moving him across the street. And then at some point, after they got him across the street, because when you watch the security footage of them getting him out of the car, they move him from that position to the position across the street. And then at some point, something happened. He ended up on the floor with the knee on the back of his neck. Man. Now, the initiative of the police had said that, or the report had come out that he had died at the hospital. But apparently the paramedics that arrived on scene when they did their report said that he was unresponsive and without a pulse as soon as they got him in the ambulance. So which means he had been either dead already. So he literally died there on the pavement. Now, so this is where it gets kind of dicey, and that's why for me it's kind of like this incident is more or less along the lines of what we saw with the Rodney King incident. You remember the Rodney King incident?
Yeah.
And I think it's more parallel in that, especially in the response, because today there was protests in Los Angeles where they literally blocked the freeway. We had that footage up. We shared some of that footage from today where they literally were on hundreds of people blocked the freeway. They even trashed 2 CHP vehicles that were responding on the freeway.
Well, some part of me thinks, I hate to sound like a conspiracy nut, but what if they want this to happen? And they could help push their agenda. See, look at all these criminals. We got to get guns off the street. Or use this to incite martial law. Or, you know what I mean? This coupled with the coronavirus. Now, you know what? We got to take back, our states or whatever. So let's bring in the National Guard. And then here we go. You know what I mean? It's like some of this seems preordained. I mean, it feels that way a lot of the times when it comes to police brutality. I'm not sure if that's a fair statement or observation, but I'm just saying it feels that way. A lot of the time it feels preordained, like they're trying to rile up the public. They're trying to get us to do something rash and irrational, so that way they could have their field day when that were to arise. But it's like, I don't know, man. This is a sad incident. And I know there's some good cops out there, and I'm not wishing ill on anybody, but cops always wonder why people hate them, or you know what I mean? It's like, look, this is exactly what we're talking about right here. Things like this. And I know there's criminals out there. I get it. But, I think police need a little better training as far as social training, how to de-escalate, de-escalation.
The reality is this. So my libertarian side really got sparked today. Actually, yesterday, in listening to this, I listened to Tim Pool, who's another really popular podcaster, really, I want to say unbiased, but he's fair in his reporting and his commentary. And then you listen to individuals like the Hodge twins. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hodge twins.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Aren't they loss prevention guys or something?
I learned that today by watching their video.
Yeah, me too.
Man, seemed like it went on for an hour. Yeah, that's the worst thing
Their
I've ever
response
seen on
was
video.
interesting.
Like, I couldn't even sleep last night. I'm like, I support police, I support civil servants, firemen, but these are not civil servants. These are thugs with badges. Yeah, it's like, I mean, no common sense. I mean, the Asian guy and the white guy, I mean, dumb and dumber. Yeah. I mean, no common sense. Low IQ. I mean, at the very least, they had to have known what they were doing. Yeah, okay. First of all, the cops responded to, I guess, guy writing bad checks or something like that. I think they may have thought that was Mr. Lloyd. I'm not sure if he was actually the guy that was doing it or if he was in the
Damn,
wrong
how more
place.
messed up would it be if he wasn't even the guy? He was innocent.
They interacted with him. They tried to place him under arrest. For some reason or another, they got into a struggle. When you can use force to arrest somebody, but what I see in this videotape, he was already handcuffed. You got him down on his chest with your knee in his neck. There's no point to do that. Right. Like we had jobs as loss prevention agents where we was undercover in stores, arresting people, arrested over 1,000 people, right? Now look, when we was trained, we was told we could use force. Yeah. But we was also taught as renter cops, you cannot choke anyone. No chokeholds. Absolutely no chokeholds. And you cannot put somebody on their stomach and put your body weight on them. You could easily suffocate them to death. If they got any pre-existing conditions, they're on drugs, anything wrong with them, you could easily kill them. Yeah, you could easily take a perfectly healthy male, big guy. I could put him on his chest, put all my weight on him. Within 5 minutes, I can kill him. Yeah, it's real easy to kill somebody like that. I mean, for a cop to do
3 minutes if you panic. Yeah, you know, that's just too much, man. So
treated people behind closed doors. I would at least punch
I don't know. No justice, no peace.
That I wanted to get to.
I mean, I couldn't have let that man sit back and get. I would at least punch that damn Asian cop in the face and knocked his ass out to get their attention on me. I did something. I did something. Anybody, just a human being. You can't let something like that happen. I don't care if they have a badge on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a really interesting point, and I wanted to talk to you about that because what if that was you on the side and you were watching this individual just slowly just drifting away? Their soul is gone. Their life force has been extinguished. But it's by these cops because as soon as you make try to
they would have shot my ass, bro. Real talk. Yeah. But see, these cops are lucky that was Minneapolis. Let that been California. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not taking nothing away from Minneapolis or whatever. But, I don't know. All these people just stand there, I don't know, man.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so here's something that I wanted to point out. So this sparked ignited my libertarian side because we talked about this last time. It's like being a police officer is very difficult. In a way, you almost have to sell your soul. And what I mean by that, not necessarily in a terrible way, because being a law enforcement official, being a police officer, even being in the military has such a much potential for good. But the reality is there are so many laws that you could literally walk out the door of your house or even before the door of your house and you could commit a crime without realizing it. The fact that law enforcement has become so embedded and ingrained in our lives and to a fullest extent that there is so much regulation, that there are so many laws that it forces almost these types of things to happen, these kind of altercations.
Well, you know what? To take it a step further, remember when we were in school growing up as kids in the 80s, we seen cops as the good guys. A lot of us wanted to be detectives growing up, whatever. But I remember cops being the good guys. You need help, you call the cops. They're here to protect you, this and that. Where did that change? Because nowadays, you ask any of these younger kids in this generation nowadays, they fear the police. They're oh man, don't call the fucking cop. You know what I mean? It's like not because they're necessarily doing anything bad, but it's things like this. And they like that because I know a couple people that are in law enforcement themselves or train law enforcement, and they say when they evaluate you, if you too soft, they don't even want you in their department. Meaning, if you're not going to be writing tickets and being an asshole, essentially, then don't waste their time. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you're getting into. I'm not saying every department's like that, but a good 99%, I'm willing to put money on it. You know, because I know some people out in Oakland and Tracy, I know some here at MPD, and it's like, you know, bro, they're like, nah, man, you have to be an ass. You know, because that's how you get paid. You know, you have to show that you're talking to people, you know.
Yes, and that's part of the reason why I say you have to sell your soul to a point that you have to be in order to, because you are dealing with the worst of the worst in society to a degree. There are people that are out there that are malicious, that are doing
granted.
But the point is that, for instance, when the gun debate, you're going to take legal individuals, and by making something illegal, you're going to automatically making law-abiding citizens automatically into criminals.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, the police are turning into the people they're supposed to protect us from. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look it. So we should always be wary of government, and this is where,
especially when you talk about tyrannical government, we're seeing it right here. You know what I mean? Like,
this is part and parcel of tyrannical government. The fact that we have to have law enforcement is a necessary good and a necessary evil.
Right.
It is both. Okay. And this is something that I've come to realize.
Yeah,
that
it's a fine line. Yeah.
Is also a good and an evil, because we should be a free enough society where we shouldn't have to always look over our shoulders. Okay, we got to put our seatbelt on when we car. You got to have a license. There's so much laws regulating so many different things that I think that's where things get out of control, where the law starts meddling. But that's our own fault. That's our own fault for putting elected officials in there that are going to constantly look. Okay, so lawmakers, for instance, think about it. What if all of a sudden it's like, okay, I think we have enough laws. We don't need no more laws. There's laws that govern everything in this world. What would lawmakers then do? What would we need with legislators? What would we need with those types of things? But the fact that more laws do not translate into a safer society, more laws create more instances like this.
Right.
Now, I'm not the one that's going to say that the police are actively out there looking for minorities, looking for African Americans, looking for Mexicans or Hispanics or people that are minorities, looking to arrest them and profile them. I'm not saying that they're actively doing that. Okay, but there is a history of systemic racism in this country in our past that still has effects to this day to a degree. But I'm not willing to say, because a lot of people want to jump to the argument that this cop is white and he's racist. That's the first thing that they went to. And I said,
I don't know.
Hold on. We haven't got enough evidence to prove that this guy is racist. Now, you can't take one instant and say that this guy is racist because of this one instant. No, we got to look at patterns in history. That's a charge that you can't make in one instant. Because who knows? Maybe he has an African American friend. Maybe that's not racism. What you're looking at is an effect of an effect of overreaching government. In my mind, this guy. This wasn't a racial issue. This is a civil rights issue.
Yeah.
Foremost, I think we've given our government and its agencies way too much power, and this is what we get for that.
We got to be careful. You're starting to sound like JFK now, bro. You know, because that's what he was saying. And why do we need the CIA? Why do we need the FBI? Why do we need these people? You know, why does the American government have to spy on American citizens? That was one of his biggest things. And then you know what happened there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, but I suspect things are going to get worse in this respect as far as the laws and whatever, only because a lot of people nowadays, and I hate to say this, I'm always saying this generation, you know, this younger generation, but let's face it, a lot of them don't give two shits. You know, as long as they're happy and they got their Xbox and their internet's working, they don't give a fuck what's going on. And that's what's sad about it. And I'm guilty of it too, because I didn't give a shit until maybe 5 years ago. You know what I mean? I never voted. I never got involved. And I wish I would have when I was younger. But, you know, it still counts. You know, I want to get that message out there to the people that are listening, to the youngins that can vote. You know, a lot of people say, why vote? It doesn't fucking matter. I hear that all the time. But you know what? Who cares if it matters or not? Let's use our voice. Let's not give up our freedoms, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm worried about. And things like this are going to progressively continue to happen and get worse up until the point where we're not going to have any more freedoms. And I'm afraid that people are just going to allow it to happen, you know? And it's like, man, that's scary. That's what's scary. And then you couple all these current events with the coronavirus. We're already supposedly, I know we're on the way out of lockdown, but what if they say, you know what, we got to lock it back down, incite martial law now.
Well, and that's one of the points I was going to make is like this situation here is kind of it's kind of bringing to light like two people that normally don't think alike. Mm-hmm. Because when you go back to a week ago or the week prior to that with these protests, these freedom protests, where especially here in California, when you went to the Capitol and you had all these supposed, there's a lot of Trump flags in that crowd. There was so there's a lot of like conservative, lot of right-leaning individuals, a lot of Trump supporters that were up there that were standing face to face with cops in riot gear protesting because they feel like their rights were being taken advantage of.
Right.
And that when I saw that, I'm like, yes, that's the problem. And I wish both sides of the aisle would see that and say there is a problem here when you give the government too much damn power. Yeah, that's the ultimate problem here is where you say we need to now. You and I both know that the police can try their damnedest, but they're not in the business of preventing crime. Their job is there to
report,
be there after the crime has already happened.
Yep.
When you take the power away from the citizens to protect themselves, and then you want to, like, for instance, if somebody broke into my house right now, and if I were to fire and I didn't kill them, potentially I can get in trouble.
Yeah, plus sued by the guy who just broke in your house.
The guy that broke into my house is not supposed to be in there. It's like, well, I got to go through this protocol. Well, did you make sure that it is? I was like, no, all I know is there's a stranger in my house. I don't know what the hell he wants.
Or did you hear about that poor lady and her husband? The cops raided the wrong house, and he shot at the cop, but he didn't even shoot to kill. He shot him in the leg, and then they killed it. They shot his wife 100 million times. But see, that's the thing. I hate to turn this into a gun issue, but real quick, just to clarify some things, somebody I know was making the argument that why do law-abiding citizens need to have AKs and assault weapons? I hate that word assault weapon because I don't go around assaulting people with my weapons. You know what I'm saying? So I hate that misnomer there. But anyway, so she's like, well, why do you guys need that? I go, well, why do cops need that? You know what I mean? Why do SWAT teams and police need that same weaponry? Well, so they could match and they could even the playing field. We saw that in LA. Remember that bank robbery? The cops' bullets were ineffective because the guys were wearing armor. So they had to go to that gun store and get higher powered rifles. You know what I'm saying? I go, so the cops need to level the playing field. They need to have what criminals have. And I'm cool with that. I respect that. But then so do I. Because the home invasion is typically 3 to 5 people. And what if they all have assault rifles? And, I want to have an assault rifle too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's what annoys me with people that don't understand. Like, well, you could have, why do you need 10 rounds in your clip? Yeah. That's another word I hate. No, it's a magazine. You know what I'm saying? There's not an M1 Garand. Calm down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like just by the terminology, I already know you don't know what you're talking about. And so you shouldn't even be in a gun debate, with these people. And then anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people wonder, but it's like, they're not assault rifles, but I don't go around assaulting, you know what I mean? That'd be a different story. But, So, I mean, you can see where our freedoms are slowly starting to dissolve. And the more they dissolve, the more empowered people, cops or whatever, what have you, feel. And when they feel that sense of empowerment, you see what happens. Like that cop didn't even give 2 shits. He's just sitting there like it's all good. I'm like, bro, But if one of us done that to somebody in a street fight, we're getting murder charges. You know what I mean? And everybody that stood around, worst case scenario, you're getting manslaughter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and that's the whole point. It's kind of like,
I think these cops should be locked up. Give them a taste of the medicine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Remember that thing?
Well, no, and I think that's where it's moving. And
I hope so.
The mayor of Minneapolis already came out this morning, and he had a press conference, and he basically said that he is begging, literally, that's what he's wanting. He's begging for the district attorney to file criminal charges, murder charges, And in fact, like the officer 401, I don't know if he said it or not, but he eventually said that the officer that just stood by and just stood there and did nothing should be charged as an accomplice to murder.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I think that's fair.
Yeah, because they would do that to us. They would charge us. Now, I'm not saying we might or might not get convicted of it, but still, we would have to spend the time in jail. We would have to spend the money for getting a lawyer. You know what I mean? We'd be away from home. Why do these cops get away with it like that? Now, I'm not saying they're getting away with it, but look, they're not in a holding tank. They're not being interrogated for hours. You know what I mean? Being deprived of food, water, and rest. You know, that's one of the biggest tactics police use in the interrogation room. They leave you there for 12 fucking hours. You know what I mean? You know, just to wear you down. These cops didn't have to go through any of that. They're probably getting paid still. You know what I mean? They're with their wife right now. It's like, bro, that's not cool. Because if I done that, or God forbid, if I done that, or anybody done that, it'd be a whole different story. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, that's one of the points that the mayor had said, that had this been anybody else. Now, like I said, I think the mayor's coming off a little bit too hard, because he tried to infer race, and I said, let's not infer race just yet. I don't think that's the point. I just think this may be more on the end of maybe incompetence. Maybe he's just a bad cop. Maybe he's just had a bad day, which is not an excuse. You shouldn't. And this is part, we have to understand there's two sides to this coin. We have to understand that, yes, this profession is highly dangerous, highly demanding. It puts a lot of stress. So maybe we need to look at it. There's a lot of things that we could look at. But the simple fact is that I think policing has gone too far. We have to take everything into that basket.
Yeah.
Has there been in the past, racial profiling, racism in police departments in the past? Yes. Could it still be present? Yes, it still could be. Is it as rampant as it used to be? I don't think so. I think what you're seeing more right now is not more of a Black Lives Matter versus a police incident. I just think it's more of an invasion of American civil rights.
Yeah, because police are becoming more emboldened, you know, and it's like, oh God. But you know, everything police do is public knowledge. So I know someone out there is digging up his history, So we'll find out here pretty quick. I'm surprised they haven't been blasting it by now.
I just wanted to just on the offset of this is just say that I think that this is a very interesting time. That normally, like, I know the Colin Kaepernicks of the world and the Sean Kings of the world, those idiots. I don't agree with their tactics. I don't agree with their messaging. I don't agree with anything that they necessarily say. But I think there's a unique time where a lot of people like that are now agreeing in this situation. But I think they're agreeing from the wrong angle. And I think that, the idiot Kaepernicks and the idiot Sean Kings are looking at this as a race issue. You got a lot of people that are more liberty-minded, a lot of the libertarians and more centrist individuals that are looking at this. And even some conservatives. A lot of conservatives are looking at this like this is an invasion of liberty here.
Yeah,
this guy wasn't given the right to due process. This guy was his ability to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was acknowledged.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where this needs to be looked at, because the reality is, if you're white and poor, you're more likely to be shot and killed by police, and you're more than likely to be more aggressive.
Yeah, and we've seen that statistically proven that.
I don't want to take away from this tragic incident here.
Right.
But would this be front page news if it were a white individual? And that's the sad part. That's where it becomes racial.
Right.
But the point is, what we need to be looking at this may have some holdover from people may still be upset from what happened 40, 50, 60 years ago. But I don't think that's what's happening now. I don't think that it's a race issue. I think it's just an ever looming continuing, like, for instance, when the Nazis invaded when instituted their laws or whatever they did, it was with jack boots. But who's going to wear our jack boots when it comes down to enforcing laws that we feel should not be enforced? It's going to be these officers. That's the problem. I think and that's what was the problem when we saw in the state capitol in California, where a lot of people were feeling like, here are these police officers, these CHP officers, these California Highway Patrol officers that are enforcing unconstitutional laws mandated by the governor of the great state of California, Uncle Gavin Newsom. And I think that's part of the problem that we're seeing.
So they were literally going against their oath at that point then, because they swore to uphold, and
but they sold their soul for a paycheck. Okay,
and ain't even that great. I'm like, that money ain't worth it, man. You know, I mean, and then you got the high risk, you got the higher chance of divorce, you got I don't know, man. You know, the ones that are in it to be an actual public service because they like to help people and they're not doing it for the pay. I respect them people, but I don't know who would want to do it for the money because the money's not there. You could be an engineer, bro, and make 3 times the money. You know what I mean? And none of the risk. And it's like, to me, I wouldn't do it. Now, the only time I would do it, though, is if I would be like in Alaska, you know, because they have some of the best training out there. You know what I mean? There, you get demoted to detective if you can't hold your own in the field. Here, it's the opposite in the lower 48. You know, you get promoted to detective, but it's like over there, if you can't pass your quarterly training, then they sit you down because like, dude, it's so dangerous out here. And the backup is literally hundreds of miles away. It have to be flown in. And by that time, if you got multiple assailants, you got to learn to hold your own. And that's the only reason I would join something like that because they train you. There's some of the badass training, man. And then you're close to Russia, so they teach you all this other in case you're getting invaded and whatnot. And then you're in the wilderness. It's so beautiful out there. That's the only time I'd be out there in Alaska in law enforcement. I wouldn't do it.
Is on edge.
Sorry. Yeah, and I just like I said, I think this is a unique situation for everybody to recognize, and I think we need to recognize this. Number one, like I said, I'm looking at this from a libertarian side and thinking about, okay, where is this going to lead? There are already enough laws, some laws that actually are unconstitutional. Any law that restricts the right of any freedom-loving, law-abiding, gun-owning American is too many. Any law that restricts my right of free movement is too many. Any law or regulation or anything like that inhibits my ability to be a free individual in this country is too many. Right. And I think this is part of that. Like, I think policing has gone way too far, but a lot of people haven't really recognized it for far too long. Like, you look at the Arbery case, you know, that's happening right now, which we haven't touched on, which I think we need to touch on this weekend.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. I just wanted to jump on. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to belabor this too much. What I wanted to do was just for us just to give our little insight into this and realizing that this is a problem and it will continue to be a problem. Not the race problem, the overreaching of government. And that comes mainly from the Democratic left. So
it's almost like these cops were bullied in high school, you know, and then they made it their life mission to, you know,
I don't want to go there.
Well, it seems that way because they all have this little. I'm not saying all cops are bad. I know there's good ones, and I appreciate them, and I tip my hat to them, and I thank them. But you know, I had run-ins with police where they had this like chip on them. I'm like, bro, were you picked on as a kid or something? Like, you've never been told no in your whole life. Like, you know, you're in the wrong line of business. First of all, if you're gonna have that type of attitude. You know, I couldn't be a cop. I'd be letting old ladies go with no tags. Or like, you know what, just go home and park it, you know, but...
Well, and that's part of the problem is there is a quota. There is a quota system.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of departments don't want to be aware of that, but there is a quota system. There is numbers, and that's part of the problem. There are so much things that are wrong with policing where it's not just a guy walking down the street making sure everything's good. There's active policing where you're actively looking for any little infraction. And I think that's part of the problem. This is where there are some laws that are still on the books. Like, I think it's in California. I still think it's illegal. California, Texas, and some of these lower Southwest states, it's still illegal to walk around and have a pair of barbed wire cutters on you. So
right.
It's just things like that where I think things have gotten a little bit like where you're actively looking to just pile on cases. Now, I think when it comes to, like I said, I'm very libertarian when it comes to drugs. Like, drug use, your life, whatever you do with your body, your choice, whatever. I don't care. I really think that we need less drug. The war on drug has failed, and the longer we keep fighting it is going to be more of a problem. But when it comes to rape, murder, the theft of other people's property that they've worked for, things that actively work against another individual's right to pursue their life, liberty, and happiness, that's where laws should be enacted. Not on anything that it prohibits or inhibits that ability. Well, anyways, with that, B, we've got a lot more to talk about. Hopefully this weekend we'll be able to sit down with Alex and Angel.
That'd be awesome, man.
I think this would be a very good, long, interesting conversation to have in our interactions with police and going over all these incidences. But with that, I think we can wrap it up for tonight.
That's what's up. This is your boy, Play B. You officially been tapped. Peace.